Hello everyone, Chapter 11, Risk and Returns. This chapter shows the relation between risk and return and different types of risk. In addition, we'll see one asset pricing model using this relationship. In Chapter 10, we computed historical average and standard deviation. This chapter, we will compute expected return and standard deviation using scenario analysis. Suppose we set some scenarios of economic situations. If we have unexpected returns, expected return in each scenario, expected returns are sum of probability of each scenario times expected returns. The variance is probability of each scenario times square deviation from the expected return, and then the deviation is square root of variance. Let's see an example. Suppose there are three possible scenarios of state of the economy: boom, normal, recession. If probability of each scenario and return if states occurs are as shown in the table, what are expected returns and standard deviation? Click Excel icon. First, we need to find the product of probability and return in column 4. And add them up, 13.6% is expected returns. And when you find standard deviation, we need to calculate variance first. Column 5 will be deviation from expected returns. Square them, column 6, and times probability, and add them up. We find variance. Take square root (9.34% is standard deviation. Package 1. Find expected return and standard deviation. Use Excel template. Same way to solve. Find the product 2 and 3. Add them up. Expected return is 11.25%. Then find deviation from the expected returns. Square them. Times probability. And add them up. We find variance. Take square root. Standard deviation is 19.8%. Now let's find out how to compute expected return and standard deviation of portfolios. First, what is the portfolio? It is a collection of assets. The assets may be any assets such as stocks, bonds, real estates, derivatives, etc. Portfolio return and risk are determined by returns and risk of individual assets in the portfolio. So the risk-return trade-off of a portfolio is measured by portfolio expected returns and standard deviation. Although a portfolio includes many assets, we can treat a portfolio as a separate asset. Portfolio expected return is simply weighted average of expected returns of individual assets in the portfolio. It means that we don't lose any returns when we form a portfolio. What about portfolio risk? Portfolio standard deviation should not a weighted average of each standard deviation. If so, diversification does not decrease risk. In fact, portfolio standard deviation should be less than a weighted average of each standard deviation. The way to find portfolio standard deviation, let's find portfolio variance. The easiest way to find it is we find portfolio expected return of each scenario using the formula we saw in the previous slide. Then we can treat this portfolio as a single asset. Then find portfolio variance and standard deviation as we previously did. This is an example to find portfolio expected return and standard deviation. Click Excel icon. Using dollar invested, we can find weight of each stock. Weight will be dollar invested divided by total investment. $50,200. After finding weight, we can compute the portfolio expected return of each scenario. Now let's use Excel function sum product. Sum product computes sum of product of two variables. For recession, sum product of the first series, weight, and second series, expected return of each stock during recession, negative 2.9%. Same way, neutral, (13.18%) and boom, (16.54%). N times probability, then add them up, we find portfolio expected return 10%. Now copy expected return to here. Find deviation from expected returns scare them, and times probability, add them up, this is variance. Finally, take the square root of variance, 7.57% is standard deviation. Pop quiz 2, find portfolio expected return and standard deviation. Use Excel template. Click Excel icon. We have weight of each stock. 70%, 30%. So portfolio expected return of economy, each economy state is some product first series weight, second series expected return. Normal recession times probability and add them up. Expected return is 7.77%. Copy portfolio return. Find deviation from expected returns and scare them. Times probability and add them up. It is variance. Take square root 12.13% is portfolio standard deviation. This is the end of the first part. We will see different types of the risk in the next part.